Hi everyone, so this is an excerpt from Miriam Style Club, and it's an excerpt from the club Q&A that I did in club. So if you are interested in joining club, you can take a look at the link down below for how you can join, and there's a ton of exclusive content on there, and you would have access to all of that content that has been there for, I've been posting in there for years now, so there's a ton of stuff there that you can watch if you enjoy the kind of stuff on my YouTube channel. And if you are watching this and you're completely new, take a look around. If you're still confused about your lines and colors, I offer consults through my website, so you can take a look at those down below as well. Okay, I hope you enjoy the excerpt. Does working out and doing body recomposition change your body geometry type? It actually does not. It does not. And I know it may seem like it would, but it just doesn't. Like, I really don't actually have a good explanation. That doesn't mean that an explanation doesn't exist. Maybe it's something that is actually hormonal, like maybe someone who has a lot of softness to them has slightly different hormone levels. I don't know. Slightly different genetics. I don't know, And even if you are incredibly fit, like Rihanna is a great example of someone who's, sometimes she can be incredibly thin. And if you look up images of Rihanna, like just type Rihanna thin or something, and she just looks like she has very little fat on her, and she just looks very lean. She still looks soft to me, like a soft type, so to speak. Because she has still the curves and I think it's also like the nature of your subcutaneous fat, maybe something like that. It's something about how your fat looks under your skin, and we all have some amount of fat. Like, you're not going to have zero fat, so it probably has to do with how your fat looks underneath your skin, and that's not going to change with how much fat you have. You could have very little fat, but that fat that you do have still looks particularly soft. Maybe it's, I don't know, I mean, maybe it's closer to the surface of your skin, and that's why it looks softer. I mean, maybe you guys know better than I do why some people just look a bit softer and more sort of fleshy, and other people look more firm. So I think that there's something there. It's something about just the nature of how your skin and your fat kind of come together. I don't know, it's kind of sounding a little bit weird, but there's something about it that even when you're really, really fit, even when someone who is like a rounded bone structure type, or a romantic or something, or a sharp and soft dramatic, or soft natural, beveled soft, even when they're incredibly fit, they still retain like some level of softness to them. And vice versa, if someone is at a higher weight and they have a higher body fat percentage and they're firm, like beveled firm, they still look firm. So especially, like, let's say someone who is mixed taut, flamboyant gamine, someone named Rebel Wilson. Now look up Rebel Wilson and tell me she doesn't look firm. Now, she looks firm, but she's at a higher weight. And Rihanna, when she is super, super thin, she still looks softer. Like, and the best way to tell, if you are looking at Rihanna and you're like, she doesn't look soft to me, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Try to see what flatters Rihanna at her lowest weight and what flatters Rebel Wilson at one of her higher weights. It's still going to be the same type of stuff, meaning that Rebel Wilson is still firm, Rihanna is still soft, no matter their weight. For some reason, it just works that way. I tried to give you an explanation. I think that may be the explanation, actually, that it's actually like there's something about how the fat is like under the skin. Like, there's something about how the skin is and how the fat is, that even if there's very little of it, you still appear soft, versus appearing like you still appear slightly soft and slightly fleshy even if you are very lean and very fit, versus if your fat is a certain different way, you're still going to appear like firm and taut even if you're at a higher weight and you have a higher body fat percentage. I think there's just something there. There's really something there. And it's not about curviness, because Jennifer Love Hewitt is curvy. She's incredibly curvy, but she is taut. And when you actually look at Jennifer Love Hewitt's arms, her arms are taut. and they're really firm, and she doesn't look like she has softness, and of course she is mixed taut. She's the closest kibbe type is flamboyant Gimme. Okay, let's go on to the next question. If sharpened and beveled have long lines, then should they always be wearing high rise or low rise? How does that work? I think high versus low rise has more to do with your vertical proportions than it does with having long lines or not long lines. So in general though, sharpened and beveled can tend to have longer legs and shorter torsos. And so because of this, they can actually wear low rise pretty well in terms of their vertical proportions. However, if they want to be a bit more dramatic about their long legs, they could do high rise. And so high rise would make their lines look even longer. Usually the line for the leg kind of starts out at the lower back. So like the long line of a long leg starts out at the lower back and kind of goes down and goes toward the leg. And so it kind of already starts at a low rise, I guess, just visually or aesthetically. Like imagine if you were to draw a long leg, how would you draw it? You would probably start at the lower back and you'd kind of draw it like that, like a long leg. That's just kind of how I think of it. And in the same way, like a long arm, that line, like so-called line, is going to start at the shoulder and it's going to be going all the way down to the fingertips. And so that's the long line of a long arm. And so in that sense, the rise doesn't necessarily matter as much. So you would be flattered. It just depends on what you prefer. If you prefer more of like a proportional look, then you could do low rise. But if you prefer to really accentuate your long lines, you could do a high rise, because the high rise will make your legs look even longer than they are. So it really depends on what you prefer. I think both would look good, because as long as the bottom, when we're talking about long lines and honoring your long lines, the bottom is more important, meaning the bottom of the pant or the bottom of the sleeve is more important. So like the sleeves, if they're long, really ought to go, if you're going to honor your long lines, past the knuckle. That is really flattering because it just takes the eye, to go even longer. And the same for the pant leg, to go all the way past your ankles is a great length for a pant leg for someone with long lines. And you don't want to break up that line. Sometimes it's better if your shoes and everything, like you don't show like skin in between your shoes and your pants, so that everything is like one long line of the same color. That looks really stunning on someone with long lines because it's so consistent with their look. And so it's more about that, like where the line ends, and not wanting for it to end, because the leg is drawing this long line and it's going, and it's going forever. It's a long line like that. And so you want to just keep going with the long line. But you're talking about the rise, which is where the long line starts. And that's not as critical as the length, if that makes sense. The long line starts at the rise and will kind of go like that. And so what you want to do is make sure it goes like that. Like make sure you're wearing like pants or something, or a skirt that will kind of carry that long line and not like chop up your long lines. So I hope that kind of explains your question. Definitely leave me some comments down below if you guys have any other ideas about the rises, or if you're sharpened or beveled, and how, like, what kinds of rises work for you, why do they work for you, which ones are most flattering. It would be interesting to see your experiences. Alright you guys, so that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave some comments down below as usual and let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you have any questions or, of course, any comments. And if you are looking to watch the full version of this Q&A, that's on Club, and you can take a look at the links down below for how you can join Club. And if you're interested in booking with me, booking a consult with me, I'll leave a link down below to how you can do that as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you next time.